Welcome back, YouTube pipe smokers. This is Spurgeon Settings, and I am joining you on a Saturday morning. I've been uh, enjoying the free time I have. My family's out of town, and so I've been trying to finish up on some sermon preparation, getting ready for some teaching that we're going to be getting into further on in our church, and then I'm going to be working on um, some schoolwork as well, trying to get all that taken care of. And and so I wanted to come to you with some books I recently purchased, and I get excited just about as much as on books as I do on pipe tobacco. It's kind of like my second hobby I spend money on. I do garden. My background's farming, so I do enjoy gardening. I still do that. I hunt and fish when I can, but these two things, pipe smoking and reading, are pretty much what takes up most of my time and probably my money that I have extra to spend on. Uh, Before we get into that, I am currently smoking my Peterson Iran fishtail, great pipe, smoking Chelsea Morning out of it, and I am drinking with it some of my cold brew coffee. I made a video about. I don't know if it'll come out before or after this, but it's I really enjoy it. I put a little bit of coconut milk, maple syrup with it. It's fabulous. Starbucks did that at one point. They did a cold brew, that maybe they still do, and it just doesn't compare. I kind of lost a lot of interest in Starbucks. I feel like their beans are over roasted and they're kind of overhyped. Most of their drinks are just really heavy in sugar and additives. But anyway, that's a whole nother subject. So what I'm reading currently are books I just recently purchased. The first one I'm going to go through is The Book of Lost Tales by J.R.R. Tolkien. Most of you are familiar with the guy. He's a favorite author of mine. I have a shelf on my bookshelf, or one of my bookshelves, just for his works, and the extended edition movies. I love the extended edition movies. Um, and so this is one I just recently picked up. I haven't even read it yet, but from what I understand, he began this book, The Book of Lost Tales, when he was about 25 years old, back early 1900s, and it was kind of the beginning of the mythology of Middle Earth. And so it gets into the creation of it. It's even it's the background of the Silmarillion, and he gets into or writes about how he came about creating the world of Middle Earth and some of the side stories that we're not familiar with. So I look forward to reading this eventually when I have time. Another one I have is a professor who I follow quite a bit, one I really respect. His name's Dr. Anthony Carter. He wrote this book, Black and Reformed. And so he comes off or comes from the background of a reformed convictions or reformed beliefs, and that stem out of the Reformation. And he gets into how that affected the African American Christian experience and the sources they pull from as they transgress into even slavery in the United States and in the Americas, and how that influenced and they held on to hope during those times. And so I always want to pull from different backgrounds to understand church history, and this is one I'm excited to get into eventually, and get to study a bit more. Another subject I really a few years ago I got really fascinated with is the Mongolian Empire and Genghis Khan and the life and culture of the Mongols. Man, that culture just fascinates me. There's a podcast by Dan Carlin called Hardcore History, and a few years ago I came across it, or 6 years ago now. I guess it's been quite longer. He does a long episode, or multiple episodes on Genghis Khan and then the Mongolian Empire. And this book is Genghis Khan and the Making of the Modern World. And so it gets into how it has changed in the Mongolian Empire, and his influence is seen even to today. And so I look forward to getting into that one. Another one that I'm currently reading, usually on Sundays, as more of a relaxing read. So a lot of the books I read, I love reading them. but they require a lot of mental thinking, and they take more out of me sometimes than I feel like I get, if that makes sense. So a lot of times I need something that's more meditative, relaxing, enjoy, and quite in more of an enjoying experience. And I'm not trying to get down details or highlight or remember things or write them down. And this is On the Shoulders of Hobbits, The Road of Virtue with Tolkien and Lewis. And this is by Louis Marcos. He's a professor at Houston Baptist University. He is an expert on C.S. Lewis and Tolkien. He does a lot of writings and speaking on both of these authors, both of these men. And he just talks about the virtues we find in both of their writings, in Lewis and Tolkien, and how we've lost them in our postmodern world where everyone just does what as they wish or believe as you wish. And he says we've lost some of the not only Christian values, but even the ancient Greek and Roman values. Some things that have just kind of paved the road for much of human history. And so he gets into that. I am only about a quarter of the way through. It's been a really great read, really easy read. So this is not something. It may have sounded a little academic. It's really not. And he really ties in the thought process and the opinions or views of Tolkien and Lewis and how they intertwine those into their works. And so it's been a really an enjoyable read. Last one I'm going to get into. This one I'm excited to eventually get into, but I don't know when I will. It's by a author Ian Shaw, Churches, Revolutions, and Empires. And this takes place or covers the basis of 1789 to 1914, a monumental segment of history. And this author gets into the different events that occurred: American Revolution, French Revolution, in the Industrial Revolution, abolition of slavery, all these different activities that occurred, and how the church evolved or devolved or changed or influenced all of those things. And so he gets into those segments, and I look forward to getting into this one, as it's the church plays a monumental role in all of those different aspects in world events. There are many books I've purchased elsewhere or also, but I'm not going to get into them today. Those are just a few. So if you have questions about them or questions about anything else, let me know. I've always enjoyed talking about books or theology, what have you. And so you're always welcome to email me. I always leave my email at the bottom in the link description, and you can feel free to shoot me an email and ask any questions you have. Guys, that's all I have today. I hope you guys are taking care, and we'll talk to you soon.